Hello and welcome, and we've got some more updates, some more things coming out, so it's probably time to make a video on it and discuss it. The big one we've got is the Endless Dungeon, which is a endless array of enemies. You will continue going until you lose. No permadeath yet, so can't die here. I don't know if you will eventually be able to die here or not, but you can't right now, so it's completely fine to enter it. It's completely free to enter, doesn't use your free runs or anything like that, so go nuts for right now. It's in the testing phase. We also got a stat rework, so we can go over here and take a look at the new stats. So strength gives you a bunch of health, a good bit of damage, a bit of damage resist, and a lot of crit resist. Intelligence has very low HP, gives you good damage, a tiny bit of crit rate, good crit damage, and decent accuracy. Agility gives you a little bit of HP, not good on min damage, an okay amount of max damage, basically equivalent to strength's minimum damage. You're always going to be hitting first with agility. They moved that from luck. It gives a little bit of crit rate and good evasion. Wisdom gives a bit of damage and a good bit of accuracy. Charm gives a little bit of HP, a bit of damage resist, and a little bit of crit resist. And luck gives a bunch of crit chance, a little bit of crit damage, and a little bit of evade. So the builds that kind of stick out to me immediately are full strength, of course, because that's already kind of a staple. And it doesn't seem, I haven't gotten to test it much, and I'm waiting for the stat reset. There's going to be a free stat reset in a couple of days, and I'm waiting for that to come out to really get into testing. But it does seem like all points into one main stat is still the way to go. It just changed what you want in secondaries from your gear from what they were. So with full strength, you generally want to get that accuracy up, because you have like no accuracy, so you really want wisdom as a secondary to cover your weakness. So you really want strength gear that also has wisdom, which most of the good strength gear already does. You know, if you have a gold Santa suit or a red Santa suit, you're already getting that. If you're running the like Centurion breastplate, you're already getting that. If you're running like copper plate or something like that from Olga or whatever, you are already getting that. So you're pretty happy to run full strength and just have wisdom on a lot of your gear, and that really covers a lot of your weaknesses. It also helps you with a little bit more damage, so you'll be doing good damage, hitting pretty accurately, and you won't be taking that much damage because you have good damage resist. The other option is to go heavy into Charm as the secondary. You'll get a little bit more crit resist, a good bit more damage resist in general, and more HP. You just become an ultra tank with strength and charm. As far as intelligence goes, you really want some survivability, and you really need crit rate as well. So you really want luck for that crit rate. I imagine Bee's Knees is probably pretty strong now. The downside with intelligence, at least in terms of the Endless Dungeon, is that right now runes are 1 use per run of the dungeon, not 1 use per fight like they used to be. So intelligence just dies really quickly because it doesn't really have any hit chance, or it doesn't really have any HP rather, and it doesn't have any evade. Even if you get a lot of luck, luck doesn't have the greatest evade. So the build that I've seen people doing instead is Int with a secondary of agility on your items, and that gives you a lot of the evade that you needed. And if you can get enough agility, like I'm thinking on my Dark Elf, for example, when the stat reset comes around, I'm thinking about moving these 49 points over to intelligence, possibly, and then I still have a lot of agility from gear, and just keeping the gear the exact same. And that would bring my intelligence way up, give me quite a bit of agility. I can run Ice Barrier again as the rune instead of Inflame like I am now, and use that Ice Barrier when I run into a Mythic and get a huge shield, and I'll still have pretty good intelligence, and that will give me my evade that I need on an intelligence build. It also will help with the crit rate a bit. But intelligence and luck seems like an obvious combo if you can get the bee's knees, because it has a lot of luck on it that will give you a lot of the crit rate that you need for intelligence to take off damage-wise. I think intelligence is probably going to be very strong in PvP, going intelligence luck with the bee's knees, and maybe something like, maybe Vile Gambison, maybe you could find something else even. I'm not sure, I haven't looked at luck items all that much, but if you can find an armor that gives intelligence and luck, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but if you can find one that gives a lot of luck, then you might be able to work something out with that. Another option is intelligence and charm, because you're going to be getting some damage resist and some HP to cover your weaknesses. Intelligence and strength is maybe an option. It covers your weaknesses really nicely. You know, you get the big bonus where you're already big. It gives you good damage as a secondary, but you're still going to be getting hit quite a bit, and your crit rate is still low, so your damage might suffer. But intelligence strength is maybe something to look into as a possibility. As far as agility goes, you're really looking for that extra bit of damage, and you're looking for some more crit rate and crit damage, and so intelligence just becomes the very obvious. I mean, you can look right next to it and you're just like, oh, that lines up super nicely to be covering your weaknesses. You still get a lot of evade, so agility primary, intelligence secondary, just like it already was, is very strong. If you were in the Discord, you might have seen me and some other people complaining about agility being completely worthless. That is because the code was actually a little bit messed up when they launched it, and it was not scaling properly. Agility was critting for 17 damage at the top end. So it has been fixed. Agility is back to doing 70 to 80 damage a hit when you have top end gear. And the big difference is that you don't crit very often, and your crits aren't very big because you don't have that big crit damage on agility anymore. So you still evade a good bit, but you're not going to be doing 200 damage crits. You're going to be doing 100 damage crits, 90 damage crits. And you're not going to be hitting as often because you don't have that accuracy really anywhere. And the intelligence is not as good of accuracy as it was before, I feel like. At least when it's a secondary. When it's a primary, it's still very accurate. But agility intelligence is definitely great. It's still what I'm primarily running. I might try something on this. It's tough. I might try it on a different character to see how it works, and try splitting points a little bit between agility and intelligence to try to get some more of that hit chance. Because hit chance and crit damage is really where agility is weak, and both of those stats are in abundance on the intelligence side. You don't really care all that much about your HP on agility because you're relying on evading. You're relying on just not getting hit. And the way evade works now is that it reduces the enemy hit chance. So you really need to have enough evade to make it work. As far as secondaries go, none of them are viable as a main stat because they don't really give HP other than charm. And a full charm build would be pretty rough, I would imagine. You would do no damage. I mean, yeah, that'd be pretty rough. It seems like the main stats are still super hard stacked. You're still meant to put every single point into one of these stats, and that's it. And then rely on gear for getting your secondaries. I do think it would be cool if they put, and I don't remember who said it. Somebody said it in Discord, so I'm literally stealing their idea here. This is not my idea, but it sounded cool, and I think it would be cool if they put a cap on how many points you could put in your main stat per level. So, like, if you're level 10, you have 70 stat points available. Well, level 11, you'd have 70 stat points available. So you're level 11, you have 70 stat points available to use. Maybe the most you can put in a main stat is 50. And then, into a single main stat. So then you'd have 20 points. So if you're intelligence character, you'd have 50 points in intelligence, and then you have to put the 20 points somewhere else. So it would be something like 5 points per level at the maximum can go into one stat. And then the other points have to go somewhere else. So you'd have a cap on each ability of 5 times your level. So I think that could be kind of cool. But that's kind of it for the stat update. Kind of rambled on quite a bit for that, but we will get into the Endless Dungeon now. I'm running my normal Crockjaw Vile Gambison, 49 points in agility, and we're running the Inflame rune, if I can find it. Yeah, Inflame. So this is what we're running. We're going to try out some Endless Dungeon here, and I'm going to unmute the site. I actually haven't heard what the Endless Dungeon sounds like yet. Nice. So the first few floors, you're just really praying to get Fodders and Commons, because you don't want to get hit very much or take much damage. Evade times 1.1. Oh, they must have just changed this to make it more clear. So it was plus 10% times 1.1. That's the exact same thing. It's just making it more clear, so you know you're not stacking 10% on. So if you have 40% evade, you're not getting 50% evade. You're getting 44% evade. It's 10% onto whatever you have. All right, a common. We can deal with a common, especially because we got lucky. We got evade. It seems like the builds that work best in Endless right now are Strength, stacking damage resist, Strength, only taking healing every single time that it takes damage to stay full, Agility, stacking evade chance, but you gotta hit the evade chance buffs. And if you hit a mythic, which is what's going to happen to us at some point on this run, you just kind of lose. You can deal with a mythic if you hit it super early, like first 3-4 floors. Oops, I want the damage resist because I haven't taken damage yet. Another common, love to see it. It's pretty difficult for commons and fodders to hit us because we are very high in agility. But we're not hitting the evade chance, which is what you really need early on in these runs if you're running agility. If you're running strength, it's the same thing except you want damage resist early on. And there's a legendary. Floor 7, I think we're going to go ahead and pop Inflame. You can only use the rune once per dungeon now. So we're going to try and burn this down before it does too much damage to us. Wow, it did 1 damage to me. Interesting. Wow, it's only doing 1. Something's buggy here. Because, I mean, we're stacking damage resist. But, yeah, everything's dealing 1. So it seems like we found a bug. I'm going to go ahead and report this over onto the Discord for them. But we found something buggy, so we're gonna just go ahead and clear out this dungeon real quick. It doesn't matter, it's all test. We'll probably quit at floor 100 or something. But we found a bit of a problem with their code, because we're just gonna go on infinitely now if everything's dealing 1 damage to us every time they hit. So, once I finish, I'll probably just stop recording at some point and then go ahead and report this over and maybe send them the video as well. But we'll keep grabbing the buffs. Yeah, this is unfortunately a bugged run. Something is wrong with, I'm gonna go ahead and type that in. Something's wrong with whatever update you just pushed on Endless. Alright, just let them know so they can fix it. Alright, yeah, it seems like it's happening for everybody. So, whatever update they just pushed to Endless Dungeon is making the enemies only do 1 damage. So we'll get this fixed, yeah. Xken says I'll be invincible right up until I hit the green cube. That's another known bug in Endless Dungeon right now. This is why they have the 2-week stress test period going on here. Is eventually you're going to hit the green cube of death, which is a green box that shows up that just removes all of your buttons, and you can't do anything except close out the dungeon. So I think I'm going to just stop after this because there's no reason to push further. It's bugged. There's nothing interesting about getting hit for 1 damage endlessly. You could let this run forever. So we will close out of that, unfortunately. It is a little bit bugged right now. But you get the idea of what Endless Dungeon is. I recommend heavily strength builds right now with damage resist. Those seem to be the best. You didn't get to quite see how it worked. That legendary probably would have killed us on actual run with agility. Because you really need... So agility can work. You just need to hit like 4 or 5 evade chance ups buffs in your first like 6 floors. And you need to hit only fodders and commons in your first 6 floors to make sure you don't take too much damage. And then you can try to balance it out where you heal up on some floors when you get something like damage resist or hit chance that you don't really need all that much more of. You need a couple of hit chances, but after you have a couple, you don't really need any more, so you can just go back to taking the heals and you can try and balance it out. I think the furthest I've made it is floor 12 so far with agility. So you can kind of see how that will work out. You can see how the Endless Dungeon works a little bit. Enjoy testing it out. After the next couple of weeks and they get things balanced out and figured out with the bugs, we will have that competition going and everybody will be able to... Actually, I can pull that up, the original post on Endless Dungeon. Let's see, where is it? Endless Dungeon. Alright, here we go. And you can see there's a whole blog post about it. But the alpha rewards, you'll be able to get a mythic, legendary, or epic. Top 100 will also get rares and uncommons raffled off. And anybody that completes floor 1 will have a chance at one of 25 fodder mobs, which are worth like 0.28 right now, or 2.7, whatever the floor is now. So it's not a bad prize. Make sure you do at least the first floor on every character, so that you have a shot at winning those fodder mobs. And if you can get in the top 100, great. You can try and get a uncommon or maybe even a rare. And top 3 is going to be very tough for anybody. I plan on going for it quite heavily, but I don't expect to be top 3. It's going to be very RNG dependent, and it depends on what builds are good once they get all the bugs worked out. But that will be it for this video. Make sure to check out the blog post. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. And I hope I was able to provide you some information. Thanks for watching.